If you want your braids and parts to look like this, then stay tuned because I'm going to show you just how I parted it and just how I did it. And first, you're going to start off by blow drying your hair. And y'all, I know y'all see that. Look at that. Hang time. Clock it. Anyways, you're going to start with a middle part. You're going to go all the way back. I am going to be switching from FaceTime myself to regular videos, so just bear with me. But overall, I'm just parting my hair down the middle. It's not going to be the long way when I FaceTime myself, but that was just for the first middle part. So after you do the middle part, you're going to section your hair into 4 sections. So I separate my first 2 sections and I put the back together. And then I start with my first back part. And y'all, the back of my head is very narrow, so you might have a different amount of braids in this part, but I just chose to do 2 because it is very narrow back there. Like, I don't know, I got a big head. It just go from big to like small. So I put 2 braids right here in this section, and then I'm just braiding it up to keep it separate from each other. And then I go in with another row just to get like the part that's behind my ear. And then I put 5 braids in this section because it got tremendously bigger. And I would say normally I like to brick layer part, but given the circumstances of my hairline and some of the parts, I do go up from the middle part of my braid. As you can see, like, I'm not just putting a part on top of each part. Normally, after I finish doing this whole row, I will move back to the front and put 4 rows on each side, like going from ear to ear. But I decided to just use the back part and do the back part first because I do want to be able to change the front. So like when these braids get old, I want to put like some cornrows, stitch braids in the front. So that's why I just decided to just use the whole back part, if that makes sense. So anyways, I'm going in with my 3rd row and I'm going to add 6 braids here just because it got a little bigger. And for the next one, I'm going to add 6 again. I know that sounds very like bad, or you're not supposed to do that, but regardless, I didn't want to do the method that I usually do because I wanted to keep them separate. So now I'm going to go back in with my middle part just so I can see like how the parts are combining together, if that makes sense. And something you can do is always lift up your part or squeeze it together to see exactly how thick it is. You don't want a super duper wide part, especially when all the rest of them are kind of thin. So that's what see, as you can see, this part was a little too thick, so I went in and took some out. But like I said, in this row I am adding 6 again. But I am kind of parting a little diagonally because this part does get smaller as you move up. So like the top is going to be a little bit thinner than the bottom. But I am aligning them with the parts underneath just because I didn't want to do 5 and have like very thick braids right there. And for the next row, I am still going to use my hair split in half and do it like one side and then do the next side just to make sure the curves are curving the right way. And for this row, I did 4 braids, and then for that one little piece at the top, I did 2. But as you can see, it's important to have like the curve uniform as you go around. And this is more of what I was saying with the diagonal parts, because as you move up, the bottom of your head will be wider than the top. So that's why I'm doing diagonal parts. And it's kind of like a trapezoid. And the reminder for you guys is that I did it like this because I wanted to be able to change up the front with my discretion. So now I'm going in with my 4 rows. I split it in half, and then I split the half in half again. And I do like to keep this part right here a little bit more wider than the rest of my rows, because around the edges your hair is a little bit more thin, and I didn't want to pull out a couple of edges. So I just did 2 braids right here, and then on this row I did 2 again. Again, this is not how I usually normally do knotless, but since I want to be able to change the front, I just chose to do it like this. And then in this row I add 3. So, you know, it will always be different depending on your head size or like what size exactly that you wanted. But I did 3 sections in this part, and then at the top I did 3 again. And that's really how I pre-parted it. Now I'm going to show you guys how I do my knotless braids, and I do use the all day locks in the black container. So now I'm just applying a little bit, and then I'm going in with my comb and I'm combing it through. And when I start my braid, I like to split my hair into 3 sections. So this is what I'm doing now. And I grab the section on the left and go under the middle one and grab the one on the right. And that's when I add hair. I add a thin piece of hair, like just like a little bit thinner than the hair that I have in each like piece of my hand. And then I add it in, and then I braid it to the other side, and then I come back to the other side that I was just adding hair on, and then I add another piece. And for the start of each braid, I add like 4 pieces of hair, or until I get to the thickness that I want. And when adding in the hair, you want to grab it with your thumb and your index finger and stretch it out a little bit, just so it could be taut in your hand and you have it in the right position. When adding in the hair, you do want to feed in one leg and then grab the other when you're trying to braid down. I hope this makes sense for you guys. I am going to show you a different braid. And yeah, this is the braid finished. I do think that got a little thicker when I moved up, and I just did that one a little bit thinner because that's where my hair is the thinnest. But overall, these are the back sections, and don't mind them too. That's like cocked to the side a little bit. I really just didn't feel like redoing them when I noticed that they were to the side, and I wasn't FaceTime myself. I did the whole back without looking at it. So yeah, I think it looks pretty good for that. But now I am in the front, and I took my edges out, and I'm still applying the all day locks gel in the black container. And I'm going to comb it through again, and I'm going to show you how I add hair, just like with my different hand placements. I am still breaking it up into 3 sections, and the one in the front is a little bigger than the ones in the back because my hair is thinner in the front. But now I just went in with a piece of hair, and I'm just going to continue to braid like I did the last one. And you can always speed it up or slow it down however you need to till you get it.
You need to send me your whole hard drive, Amari.
This is an up close view of if you want to see like the grip of my hair. And I am just going to keep braiding down, but now I'm about to show you guys how I add hair like as I'm braiding down. And I do grab it the same way with my thumb and index finger, and then I just put it on the braid and braid down. I hope that was not too fast for you guys. But you just grab the hair and you just put it in the braid. It's literally like no like other way to say it. It's just like how I'm doing it here. It's just like more down the braid, like shaft. These are the bottom 3 sections, and as you can see, it's very flat, very much so gripped. And I'm just showing you once again how I add in the hair to braid down, just to make sure it's as long as I want it and as thick. I dipped my hair in sections because it was no telling if I was about to take a nap or like what, and I didn't want my braids to come loose. But I am going to show you this last braid on the other side of my head, just in case you're like left-handed or whatever. Even though it's the same type of motion and the same like method, I just want to give you all the angles that I can give you. And yeah, so I'm about to show you one more time how I did a braid, and I hope you guys learned something. If you did, please let me know in the comments. If you didn't, please let me know still. Like, all feedback is welcome. If you don't like my hair, tell me that, please. I would love to know what you guys think and if you learned anything. And yeah, thanks for watching. And I am going to show you how I looked at the end, because, baby, I look tea with my medium knotless. Please stop playing with me, y'all. And yeah, you see me. Please stop playing with me. The braids are tea. The parts are tea. Get into it. And I definitely have a tutorial on the way for what I'm going to do with the front. You already know it. Thanks for watching.